Good morning, children. Today we are going to study the second lesson, Law Spring. This is the second lesson in your main course book, Flamingo. This lesson is dealing with the issue of child labor. First of all, we'll see the introduction of this lesson. Child labor in India is a human rights concern in the eyes of the entire world. As per the statistical records currently available, there are about 20 million child laborers in our country. A large number of children are forced to lead the life of laborers in our country. And this lesson is dealing with the issue of child labor. In spite of the Child Labor Act of 1986 passed by the Government of India, child labor is a grave and ugly truth that besmirches the name of India. So it is a major issue in our country, and in this lesson the writer has brought out the miseries of the children who are forced to work in different industries, who are forced to work on the road. So we can see here, child labor is a serious and extensive problem in India. You can see this girl cleaning the utensils, and here is a child carrying the kettle, working in hotel. So child labor is a serious and extensive problem in India. Many children under the age of 14 are working as maids in tea stalls, in glass factories as laborers. So those children who are below 14, who are working in different industries, in different places, they are child laborers. The future of a society lies in the welfare and well-being of its children. It is the responsibility of a nation to safeguard the innocence of its children by keeping them free from the clutches of child labor. So we can see in a very bad condition, they work in glass industries, they work in cracker factories, and they lose their eyesight at a very young age. They face many miseries when they are working in different industries. Now we'll see about the author, who is a very famous Indian writer. Anish Jung is an Indian woman author, journalist and a columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad. Her most noted work was Unveiling India, Night of the New Moon, Seven Sisters, and Breaking the Silence. She is born in Rourkela. Anish Jung spent her childhood in Hyderabad. Both her parents are renowned scholars and poets. After completing her college from Uspania University, she went to the University of Michigan and Harvard in the United States for higher studies. Now let us see the summary of this lesson, and we will also analyze different aspects of this lesson, Lost Spring. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Now here a child feels that the garbage comes across sometimes rupees or money. The story is an excerpt from the book Lost Spring by Anish Jung. In the story, she focuses attention on the state of abject poverty that forces young children to work under difficult circumstances and robs them of the pleasures of an innocent childhood. So these children, they have lost their childhood because they are forced to work. Childhood is the phase which is a very happy state, and during that time we see children quite often playing, enjoying life. But these are the children who are forced to work in different places. They are forced to work in different industries. The narrator's attention is drawn every morning to Sahib. So we are introduced to the character Sahib in the first story. And who is Sahib? Sahib has come from Bangladesh. And what is he doing? He is picking up whatever he comes across on the road. Sometimes the bottles, sometimes the papers, all that he goes on collecting. Garbage, there also he sees whether something worthwhile is available there. So what is he? He is a rag picker and he is from Simapuri. After months of acquaintance with him, the narrator once asks him his name, which is Sahib A. Alam. Ironically, it means Lord of the Universe. So here is a child who is a child laborer, and what is he doing? He is a rag picker. Now here he is introduced to the writer, then she keeps on asking him, and then afterwards when she asks him the name, he reveals that his name is Sahib Alam. And what does it mean? It means Lord of the Universe. But what is his condition? He is in abject poverty. He is a rag picker. And it's quite ironic because the name means Lord of the Universe, but he is a pauper, he doesn't have a penny. The narrator notices innumerable children walking barefoot. So there are many children who are walking without chappals. One explanation she hears is that it is not poverty but a tradition. There the child says it is because of the tradition is not wearing, it is not because of the poverty. But the fact is that it is because of poverty. He doesn't afford to purchase the chappal, and that's why we can see that child barefoot. She wonders if that is the way to explain their constant state of poverty. Sahib's parents had come to India from Bangladesh in 1971 in search of food and livelihood, which the barren fields of their native village failed to provide them. So they have come from Bangladesh because they were not able to earn their livelihood there in Bangladesh, and in the year 1971 they have come in search of their livelihood, and they have come and settled down in Simapuri in the outskirts of Delhi. Survival in Simapuri is a rag picking for them. So what are they doing there? Rag picking. That has become their profession. Garbage is gold. And what the children do, they go there to the garbage dump, and there they try to find out something valuable. Their gold means something valuable that they are able to find there in the garbage. For the children, garbage is a surprise package, as they sometimes find a rupee or even 10. Though it's a garbage, though it's a waste for everybody, for them it's a very much valuable because they find something worth keeping with them, something valuable there, and that's why here he says that it is like a gold to them. And for the elders, it is a means of survival. For the elders, it is a way by which they can earn their livelihood. Sahib looks for gold in the garbage dumps and leads the life of misery, roaming around barefoot in the streets. He roams around barefoot on the streets and looks for something worthwhile, living in shabby shanties made from mud. He cannot afford to go to school. So they are all living in shabby shanties. These are all houses which are not built well. These are all culture houses, they are not pakka houses, and these are all shabby ones. So somehow they are built kind of houses by wherein they are living. So these are all shanties, they are not well built. So living in shabby shanties made from mud, he cannot afford to go to school. So he is not able to go to school, and what does he do? He is rag picking. His profession has become rag picking, but he wants to go to school, and that is what he tells the writer, that will she provide him the education what he wants, what he desires. The narrator tells us that around 10,000 rag pickers have lived in Simhapuri for more than 30 years. So there are nearly 10,000 rag pickers who are living there in Simhapuri. Here Sahib Alam, he has come from Bangladesh, and they have been living there for decades together. These unfortunate people live without an identity. So they are the ones who don't have any identity but have ration cards which allow them to vote and buy grain. So they have not become citizens of this country, but they have got ration cards by which they can buy whatever they wish, and this ration card also allows them to vote and also to buy grain, which is very much required for their livelihood. One morning, the narrator notices Sahib on his way to the milk booth with a steel canister. Sahib now works in a tea stall. So what is Sahib doing now? Earlier he was a rag picker. Now he has started working in a tea stall, earning 800 rupees. But he looks dissatisfied. When he was working as a rag picker, he was working independently. But now, when he has started working in a tea stall, there he has to work under someone else. He has started earning amount, and now every month he gets 800 rupees, and he is carrying a steel canister, steel kettle. He seems to have lost the carefree look that he had when he was a rag picker. He carries a canister which is much heavier than his plastic bag. Now he has got a master. Earlier he was totally independent. Now he has to carry that kettle wherever he goes. At least the plastic bag was his own. The canister belongs to his employer. The canister belongs to the owner, suggesting he is no longer his own master. Earlier he had a lot of freedom. The way he wanted, he could do that. But now he has to work under somebody. He has got a master, but he has started earning more. And here we can see that the carefree look that he had earlier when he was a rag picker, that is what is missing now when he has started working as a servant. Now let us move on to the next story, that too of Mukesh. Now here Mukesh wants to drive a car, that is what his desire. But what is he doing? He is working in the glass industry. Mukesh, a resident of Dusty Street in Firozabad, wants to be his own master by converting his dream of becoming a motor mechanic into reality. And all those who have been working in glass industry, many of them, they have lost their eyesight at a very young age. His family is into bangle making, which is the main occupation of poor families living in Firozabad. That has been their traditional work. They have been there in the bangle making, and Mukesh belongs to that family. But he wants to become a motor mechanic. He wants to drive his own car. Around 20,000 children have lost their vision who have been working there. They have been working illegally there, and it's a traditional work which they have been doing that illegally in dirty and small places, devoid of air and light. Their houses all shabby looking. There is hardly air there, devoid of air and light. Enough light is not there, enough air pure air is not there, and despite all that, they have been living in very miserable condition, in very bad condition. They have been living there. They lose their eyesight even before they become adults. Mukesh led the narrator to his house, which was in a very shabby condition. A frail young woman, a very weak young woman, who is Mukesh's elder brother's wife, was cooking for the whole family. So they are there in the traditional family business, but hardly they earn. Mukesh's grandmother blames destiny for their state of plight. The miserable condition they are in because they feel that it's their fate, it's their destiny, and that is the reason why they are in such a miserable condition. Years of tedious labor has killed their initiatives and dreams, and that's why they don't want to come out of that. They have been carrying on with this labor, with this work. The narrator suggests them to get themselves organized into cooperatives, as they always get stuck between money lenders, middlemen, and policemen who profit by exploiting them. The narrator also realizes that there is no leader among them to see things differently. So they are caught in a vicious circle, and this vicious circle is of money lenders, middlemen, policemen, and they have been all exploiting them, and they have not been able to come out of that. And this harsh reality, they are not able to change, they are not able to overcome these circumstances. The children of these families accept this baggage naturally. The families have perforce accepted this lineage without any question. So they have been carrying on with this traditional business. But when Mukesh repeatedly says, I want to be a motor mechanic, the narrator senses a ray of hope. So here he wants to change over. He wants to come out of that traditional business, and he wants to become a motor mechanic. And there the narrator sees that there is definitely hope for him